you thought regular soaring guidance was bad, we've got a whole different class of warping going on, and we're going to talk about it. Let's just jump right in though and talk about Rosado, because this is an interesting unit all on their own right. So, we're getting in here, and there is just a sea of things to look at. So we've got Slaying. Start of combat, if unit's HP is over 25%, inflicts attacks, speed, defense, minus X on foe, X equals 16, minus foe's max special cooldown count times 2. So higher special cooldown, lower the effect. Minimum of 8. If foe is not equipped with the special, then X equals 8. Reduces damage from foe's first attack by 40%, and that includes Brave. Grant special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack, so that's nice. And reduces the percentage of foe's non-special reduced damage by X% skills by Y. If foe's defense is greater than foe's res at start of combat, Y equals 70. Otherwise, Y equals 30. So that is piercing at 70% or 30% depending on the foe's stats. During combat, and restores 7 HP to unit after combat. I almost would have thought this was a good Gale Force unit until that last little bit, but there's some other interesting things here. Earthwind boost 3, and this is grants HP +5 at start of combat if HP. You guys have seen this. It's the speed defense version of the boost skills. Wyvern Rift, and this is the tier 4 version of this, inflicts attack defense -4 on foe during combat if unit speed plus defense is greater than foe's speed plus defense -10. Excluding phantom effects, we're seeing a lot of those. Unit deals +X damage and reduces damage from foe's first attack by X during combat. X equals unit's defense at start of combat -35, minimum 0, max 7. So that's interesting all in its own right. That includes brave attacks, and I mean this is there's a lot of things going on here. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack, foe cannot make a follow-up attack, and increases the speed difference necessary for foe to make a follow-up attack by 20 during combat. Speed must be greater than or equal to 25 to make a follow-up attack, stacks with similar effects. Okay. With what we've seen with these Wyvern and Pegasus skills is they're almost preference weapons because they're so niche that it's hard to get them on multiple different units. There are definitely those that exist, and I like that they're inheritable, but this will probably be good on Rosado and maybe 1 or 2 other units. But this is a lot of interesting stuff, and I feel like they're trying to bring back the Omni tanks that were flyers, and there's some interesting things you can do with those. We'll talk about that. This is also an interesting melee specialist, but I think of this as kind of a Spring Maria, but a current version. And that's right, we have a Rearmed and an Attuned this time, and it's Hortensia. DTM is probably very excited about this. I'm a big Hortensia fan. Understand that a Rearmed staff is good, and I like having it, but there are fewer things you can inherit and fewer units to inherit them to. Let's look at Arcane Charmer though. This is accelerate special cooldown, count -1, so we have Slang. Restores 7 HP to allies within 3 spaces of unit after their combat. We've seen how good this is, especially in the age of Sanaki, where you have to, any unit within 2, their debuffs can be used against them. So that healing is really, really good, and I almost feel like this is supposed to be the counter for the pre-combat damage, which it doesn't counter it very well, but we'll see. They may give us something else later on. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than 25%, you get an Omni +5 to unit during combat. Unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack, grants special cooldown charge +1 to unit per attack during combat, and deals +7 damage during combat. Okay, that's all nice. This is a good staff. Like, this is an offensive staff with some supportive capabilities, which is kind of what you want from your healer. Like, I'm a fan of this. This is all good. Rescue Plus, also good. Glitter of Light, and this is something we have been talking about for a bit and how toxic this could be. But when special triggers, boosts damage by 45% of foe's res. This is nice. If this special is triggered during combat, After combat, inflict status on target and foes within 2 spaces where they cannot counterattack. So this is a flash special, which is very, very good, except it's 3 cooldown. But I want you to remember, we live in the age of Marth. So we have Slaying, we have Marth, and then you give this unit Quicken Pulse, or this healer Quicken Pulse, and suddenly they are using Glitter of Light on the first turn to trigger Flash. And that's when things get interesting. So keep that in mind. This is something that I think pre-Duo Leon probably would have been absolutely toxic, but because Duo Leon exists, you have to have Null Counter Disrupt. You just have to as a tank. So that's, things haven't moved all that much, but that's still a very, very good special. It's just going to be difficult for a lot of units to use. And thank God they gave her a preference skill. We have Glittering Anima. At start of combat, or start of turn, if HP is above 25%, grants attack speed +6, Canto 1, and the following status to unit and allies within 3 spaces for 1 turn, neutralizes penalties on unit during combat. This is excellent in the age of Sanaki. Excellent. Big, big deal there. At start of turn, if unit's HP is greater than 25%, inflicts speed res -6, panic, and discord on the closest foes and any foes within 3 spaces of those foes. That's a lot of range. If unit is within 3 spaces of an ally, grants attack speed +5 to unit and neutralizes effects that inflict. So you got tempo, offensive tempo there. So Null Guard. This is a very good unit that is a flyer, and we're in a weird spot right now where flyers are not the best archetype. So we'll get into the ranking in a second, but keep that in mind. Rewind 6 months ago, and this would be the best unit out there, period. But we're not 6 months ago. Are you ready for this nonsense? Because this is kind of nuts. Okay, first off, it's Ivy, so wallets are opening everywhere. It's Ivy. She's amazing, and folks love her. So this is already going to do very well right before a hero rises. Right off the bat, you see the warping. And we've got Icebound Tome, we've got Slaying. If unit is on a team with unit support partner, unit can move to a space within 2 spaces of any support partner within 3 spaces of unit. And that's what we saw a little bit ago. And that's that standard warping thing, but the fact that they can be 3 spaces away just expands the range just that much more. If unit is not on a team with their support partner at start of turn, unit can move 1 extra space. So this is if they are on defense, or if you didn't put a support partner in, this unit is an honorary cav, which is just crazy. If unit initiates combat or foes range equals 2, grants Omni plus X to unit during combat. X equals 25% of foes attack at start of combat, -4, max 14, and 5. So, yeah, this is a lot of stats. Neutralize effects that inflict special cooldown charge -X. So we've got Null Guard on unit. Reduces damage from attacks during combat by percentage equals 20 plus number of spaces from start position to end position of whoever initiated combat. So standard movement for this unit is going to be 3. For that, it's going to be 50%. If they move 5, you get damage reduction of 70%, which is kind of nuts. Like, that is a lot of damage reduction. And if unit deals damage with follow-up attack, restores 7 HP to unit. All right, Obsession. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than 25%, grants Omni +9 to unit during combat, and unit makes a guaranteed follow-up attack. Foe cannot perform a follow-up attack, and also, when unit performs a follow-up attack, neutralizes reduces damage by X% effect from foes' non-special skills. That is okay. At start of combat, if unit's HP is greater than 25%, and if decreasing the speed difference necessary to make a follow-up attack by 25 would allow unit to trigger a follow-up attack, triggers potent follow X% during combat. If unit can perform a follow-up and attack twice, X equals 80, otherwise X equals 40. Potent Follow X, and I had to look this up again because this was just on Marth, and I'm still getting used to these new skills. So this is triggers an additional follow-up attack immediately after a unit's standard follow-up attack and deals damage equals X% of unit's normal attack damage. That is a free additional attack. That's kind of crazy. Like, this unit doesn't have a ton of speed, and we have her stats, we've seen them, and I think she's in like the 34 range. So, I mean, yeah, this unit isn't crazy fast, but for a lot of the tanks you're looking at, I mean, that is some firepower there, because a lot of them are slower because they've stacked stuff elsewhere. Think about this unit versus the Byleths, which is the #1 tank you're going to go up against, and I mean, crazy stuff happens. We're not done yet. Like, in Far Trace 4, this is very good. I like these skills. They're excellent. Extra damage, attack res -4, and Canto. Deadly Miasma, also very good, and an inheritable that I did not expect to see this soon after its initial release, especially on an attuned hero. So you're about to see this even more. But then we have Soaring Echo. Infantry and flying allies within 2 spaces can move to a space within 2 spaces of unit. This isn't as crazy as it looks, so keep that in mind. But for certain modes like Summoner Duels, this, if you don't have a preference skill, this is the absolute best thing you could possibly get as a flyer. Like, this is amazing. So keep that in mind. Like, this is the best attuned skill we have so far. And I say the best, the most influential. We may get more things that give us Warp Bubble, but for now they don't exist, and Soaring Echo is amazing. This is a great kit. This is a great unit. This has a lot of inheritable stuff on it. This is just fantastic. So I struggled with where to put Rosado, and right now I've put them in melee nukes, which have kind of seen a renaissance, and there's some definite places where you can use them. I do like this unit a lot, but I really need to get in and play with this unit before I know how they do. I've got them in tier 1. I do think Marth is just amazing and definitely tier 0. I think Edelgard, just with all the things she does, is better, and Zelgius has Brave and is, I mean, it is a better unit than folks give them credit for. Rosado is, I mean, tier 1 is very good, but I'm still figuring them out, and if they move around, you'll have to excuse me. If you've got a good idea for this unit, let me know in the comments. Next, we have our free-to-play-ish, and Gatsu, tier 4, I mean, that's such a hard archetype, and tier 4 is where I have them. For fodder factories, this is where things get interesting, and because of that attuned skill, I've got Ivy in tier 0. Understand, though, that guidance itself is starting to fall off. The main use for that wasn't Summoner Duels, and instead of using warping, a lot of folks are switching to other ways to get range, like, well, extra spaces moved, or just cavalry with tons of actions and all of that great stuff. Like, I'm not saying that warping is bad, because that's just ridiculous. We are starting to see a fall off of the warp meta, and this unit is coming in on the end of that. But as a unit, she also gets 3 spaces, and I think she'll be excellent on defense, and I think she's very interesting on AR offense to soften up whatever is up there, say the Byleths. Hortensia is a different matter altogether, and the only reason I have them in tier 1, like, they have this amazing special that I think is good for just, I mean, every healer wants that. Every offensive healer wants that special. But again, it is very hard to get skills on ranged flyers. It's even harder to get skills on ranged staff flyers. So I'm mixed on Hortensia. I do think she's a good unit, but understand the only reason she's tier 1 is because staff. We've got kind of a similar story with these ranged nukes, and the fact that I mean, essentially, Ivy gets like a guaranteed follow-up attack, which is amazing combined with everything in her kit. I like her right now better than Sanaki. That's a subject all in of itself, and I think Sanaki is falling off because she has a gimmick, and people are figuring out that gimmick, which is don't have debuffs and keep your unit within 2 spaces of another. Keep your carry within 2 spaces of another unit. Like, that's just the fact that exists. Like, that's already dropping her down. I really like Ivy, though. I do not think she's Leon influential, but I think she is up there. As far as Hortensia, this is almost unfair to put her in ranged nukes because I think she's more of a combined support and nuke, but I still have her in that tier 2 range. I think she'll hit hard. I think she'll be a lot of fun. But again, for flyers, we're having a hard time starting to place them just because of all the things going on in the meta. If you're interested in some other way to get AR clears done besides tanking, then I've got a great Gale Force video. You should go and check it out. I put a lot of work into that. Thank you so much to members. You guys are absolutely amazing. Take care and schedule an appointment with your FEHologist real soon.